I've been in law enforcement for 20 years here, and I've never seen nothing of this magnitude of this many victims and deceased in this area.
The former mayor of New York City believes he has the answer to gun violence. This while a teenager uses social media to not only detail his crime, but show how easy it is to share a selfie with the dead. Welcome to MidPoint. Licensed clinical psychologist at the Child and Family Counseling Group, Dr. Jessica Hunter joins us today. Dr. Hunter, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This catches a lot of people absolutely by shock. A teenager in Pennsylvania, 16-year-old Maxwell Marion Morton, shoots another 16-year-old in the face, takes a photo with the individual's body, uploads it to Snapchat so that people can see what he has just done. If not for the fact that a friend saved it on his phone before it was deleted, nobody ever would have known it before. This is a different level of violence here for teenagers. Why? What is driving them? Because people say, is it as simple as saying social media and that desire to be noticed?
Well, Ed, I agree with you. This is kind of a new wave of violence for teenagers that we've seen. I've seen that as well come through my office, is this necessity to take pictures and show the world what it is that they are doing. And in a sense, there's also a separation or a detachment from these horrific things that are being done. And the question is posed, was this behavior in existence before selfies, and now selfies are a means by which these people can express this and, in a sense, get credit for it? And that's often the question, is social media now showing us issues that were already in existence before?
That's just it, I guess, Dr. Hunter. We have heard for a long time, and I remember this argument for quite some time, detachment. The kid's no longer a part of a family unit. There's a problem. We hear all these various different excuses here, yet here we are 10, 20, 30 years later, and it's not as if it's gotten any better. It's getting worse. What are we as a society, and I'll even take it one step further, what are we as parents and guardians failing to do?
One of the things that I've seen, even I would say probably in the last 6 months to a year, as I've met with more and more teenagers, is there is a sense that the social media is almost an extension of themselves. And so in a way, there's this detachment from responsibility. If it's up on social media, it's something that they put out there and people can see. There's no connection or responsibility in terms of this will follow me, or I'm responsible for this, or I'll get in trouble for this. There's a lack of consequence. It is very concerning. I've seen it time and time again, especially in things that are actually lesser magnitude. There's a detachment, like a moral detachment. And I believe that the internet and social media gives these teenagers the ability to put themselves out there, but not take face-to-face responsibility for their actions. And it's very concerning when you address it head on with teenagers, because they're very desensitized to this, and they see it as just kind of every day. Their expectations are so desensitized compared to those of us who grew up without the internet. It's shocking.
Okay, well, why are they desensitized then? Is it as simply as saying, and again, here we go with all the things we've heard, that they are able to see violence on the internet, that they see violence in video games, that they see violence in primetime television and in movies? Because I got to tell you that. Here, I'll just give you a personal experience. As a kid, we saw cartoons and things and we saw movies that were violent, that were absolutely horrendous. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. It's the old rock falling on the head of the Roadrunner, for crying out loud, in cartoons. Right. It didn't make us go out there and want to throw a rock on somebody or shoot somebody. Right. So what's the difference here?
Well, there seems to be a difference, especially with social media. It seems when I'm working with teenagers that the difference is, I think, when those of us who were younger, we did things, we wrote notes, but we had to take responsibility for things that we did for people face to face. The difference now is that the social media is kind of a narcissistic extension of themselves. So they can put themselves out there, and there's zero idea that this is being seen by millions of people. It will follow them. Not only that, but they have access to real life violence that I think there were less of in years past. They can see things on YouTube, and they can get things immediately through social media and through texting and through Snapchat. It's this instant gratification.
Well, let me stop you there for just one sec, because I want to bring something. Is it possible that this is more about criminal pathology than about technology? Because you can throw technology at people, but there's got to be something wrong with an individual that does this, not just a need to show something on a selfie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a propensity for these people, I believe. There's a sociopathy that's there in existence before. And if you take that in combination with the gratification, I mean, pretty much what this kid did was say, look at me. I did this. Give me credit for this. So I believe that, yes, the sociopathy is not because of technology. I think it's just a method by which they can express themselves. There's this need to brag.
Ah, there it is. Okay, the need to brag. And that's exactly what we see a lot on social media. It is that need to brag to your peer group, if you will. A couple of minutes I have here, and I wanted to get your take on this as well. Michael Bloomberg used to be the mayor of New York City. He says that guns need to be kept out of the hands of minorities in order to keep them alive. Now, he took a lot of heat for that as soon as he used the word minorities in here. But he's saying these kids think they're going to get killed anyway because all their friends are getting killed. They just don't have any long-term focus or anything. It's a joke to have a gun. It's a joke to pull a trigger. He's not a psychologist. I guess he's just playing one here. How close is he to reality, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, this is sort of a long-standing argument. I would say that generally speaking, most of the teenagers that I've worked with have some idea of how dangerous guns are. Cognitively, though, and developmentally, there's this lack of sense of permanency at that age. So you're talking about somebody who's 16. They kind of morally understand what they've been taught in terms of long-term consequences. But if you take somebody who has a history of sociopathy, in addition with whatever other issues they're dealing with, and you make a gun accessible, it really gives them a sense of power. In some situations, people they have the right to bear arms. However, there's also other ways in which you can protect teenagers, such as not have ammunition in the house or have the guns locked up. And there are ways to keep these weapons away from kids who, at that age, don't necessarily understand the long-term consequences of violence.
And that is something we're going to have to stop right there. I mean, we've opened a Pandora's box here, but it's something that we need to follow up on. Please be aware that we're going to be in touch with you again. We're going to follow up on this because this is a fascinating story, and it needs a whole lot more attention than it's getting in the media right now. Dr. Jessica Hunter, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ed.
My pleasure. All right, it's one thing for a global bank to help clients shuttle away money from the tax man. It's another when they're doing it with killers and terrorists. From the world of bulls, bears, and bucks, this and much more when we return from a short time out right here on MidPoint.